Today, Shigeru Miyamoto says, "Welcome to ChillPoint." That's a direct quote.
I don't know, maybe he's on one of those services where you can get him to say things for you.
Oh, yeah, like Cameo?
Yeah, maybe he's on Cameo somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could get him to say welcome to ChillPoint for us.
Hey, everybody, welcome to ChillPoint. At the moment, it is myself and Heather. Beige will probably be coming in,
He will
in a few
appear
minutes.
At some point.
He will arrive precisely when he intends to.
In a fashion that we can see and that is not scary.
In a way, Beige is always with us. But in a more practical way, he will be here in a little bit.
He really leaves a mark on your soul. Can't get that out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint. We haven't had ChillPoint in a couple weeks because of Desert Bus and
PPR.
and
We're retired.
things have been busy.
I know. Still tired, honestly. And I wasn't even doing some of that stuff, but
welcome to the show. This is ChillPoint, where we talk about the week's video game news.
this is how my day was going. I decided chocolate milk was a necessity.
Been hitting the chocolate milk real hard.
Yeah.
Too much.
I also bought chocolate, but
Cutting you off.
Can't cut me off.
Chocolate milk.
You know better.
Too much chocolate milk.
We're supposed to work together, Paul.
You're
We're not
on
supposed to be enemies.
On the chocolate, you're on the chocolate dragon.
Delicious.
This is a show where we talk about video game news, among other things, when we get around to it. Welcome to the show. Hope we sound okay.
We don't know anymore.
Some of the configurations in here might have gotten slightly changed.
We refuse to wear the headphones in this stream.
Well, we can't. Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, we can. We don't want to.
So, let's talk about the episode of Checkpoint that.
Oh, right. Okay. I think they did very well this episode.
They did.
I liked their intros and their outros. Some of the stories were even pretty funny.
They did good in the sense
opinion.
that they were there.
Yeah. I think I give them probably like an 8 out of 10.
It's a solid.
I think this was a solid 8.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the stories, starting with the Final Fantasy VII remake, or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is what the second in the remake trilogy of Final Fantasy VII is going to be called.
Right.
And Kathleen had a story about how apparently they want to tie it into Advent Children.
Yes.
Which is a bit of a tricky thing, because a lot of people are not totally sure what Advent Children is about.
I'm glad I didn't watch it then, because I wanted to, but it's like, it didn't mean anything,
we watched
then
it.
fine.
We watched it at the Anime Club open night that you weren't.
Oh, the thing I set up and they didn't attend?
No, you weren't there that year because you had moved at that point.
That's right.
Well, that was the popular movie everyone wanted to watch.
And I love, I don't know whether it was the impetus for Kathleen doing this story, but I do love the quote from Wikipedia is amazing. That Nomura felt Advent Children differed from Hollywood films, where the meaning of most scenes was explained. With Advent Children, the staff wanted viewers to interpret the scenes individually, allowing them to come to different conclusions.
Yeah. See, I remember watching this movie when it came out, and because I was watching it with a bunch of people who really wanted to see it. I didn't play Final Fantasy VII. Anything. So I was just like, well, this probably makes sense if I've played the game.
See, I wasn't like
that's basically. I thought it looked cool.
Again, I had played Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, It's probably that I just am not like a big enough Final Fantasy VII nerd. Like if I knew all the lore, this would make a lot of sense. But what I'm now learning is that maybe it wouldn't have.
That's what I hear. What I'm really surprised by is that they don't want to cross this over with Spirits Within.
That's
a movie
true.
that I have seen a number of times, and even within the past year. So I actually understand that one a bit more.
Except, I mean, as with the various Final Fantasy franchises, though, like Spirits Within doesn't have anything to do with Final Fantasy VII in particular,
No,
or any of the other
but
Final
that's
Fantasy
never
movies.
stopped anything like
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
Like Mos Piata has nothing to do with Macross, but you can still make him into a lovely Robotech.
But anyway, the Final Fantasy VII remake is quite a fascinating. I don't know if something like this has been done before. You know, this idea of like doing a remake of a video game that's not only completely different,
Yeah.
but 3 times as long.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not. Like, I know we've had remakes where stuff gets kind of added in. Maybe
Yeah.
some stuff gets sanded off around the edges. Maybe you get some improvements. Maybe the story makes a little bit more sense because we added in a scene or two because we can do that now, that kind of thing. Or voice acting. And because you have voice acting now, you can kind of change the tone of certain scenes.
Right.
But I don't think we've really had the video game that becomes just a different game. Thing.
But it still sort of has the general outline. Like, it's as if Final Fantasy, rather than a remake of the video game, it's like as if Final Fantasy VII was like a book, and they're making a video game, or it was a movie.
Right.
And they're making a video game of that movie. So, like, you know, they're taking elements of it, but kind of adding extra pieces and remixing it. It's a cool idea, and from what I have not actually seen, I've not played Final Fantasy the first one, but from what Graham was saying, that sounds like he had a lot of fun playing it and stuff.
So I'm seeing Persona 5 Royale being brought up in chat, and while I agree that they definitely add in, Persona 5 basically added another section after the game.
Right.
And they did integrate that character into the earlier story. So it is a little bit different, but I still don't think it's nearly to the degree as almost being a different video game. More
Anyway.
fleshed out at that point.
And then in weirdly more Final Fantasy VII news, although it's from a completely different context, the new Steam Deck OLED has come out, which it's funny. I've been, because the new Steam Deck. Gotta.
Yep.
Yep.
It's okay. We're gonna do that all episode.
I'm looking at a Stream Deck that says
not
the
helping,
word
yeah.
that says the word Stream Deck large on the top of it, which is not helping. Anyway, the Steam Deck, the new OLED version came out, I think, right before Desert Buzz. So we didn't talk about it before on ChillPoint. But what's kind of funny is all the coverage I've seen of it is like, the new Steam Deck OLED is great, but not because it's an OLED. Like they sort of secretly, semi-secretly, completely revamped the hardware,
Yeah.
but just called it the OLED version.
Because that's the thing people are going to see immediately.
I guess, yeah. But I remember, like, I didn't even watch the video, but like Linus Tech Tips, the thumbnail was like Linus with the OLED, and it was like, Valve tricked me and I'm happy or something like
Yeah,
that.
so it's because it's the screen, which is probably going to be like the big thing that they wanted to promote. I mean, I don't know why. Like, you probably wouldn't call it, the Steam Deck better battery life because it's got a little bit of a better battery life,
Right.
or the Steam Deck weighs slightly less because it does.
Like,
But 2.0 might have been a good thing to say, right?
But is it a 2.0?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't think it's essentially a 2.0.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, the processor has the same capabilities. I believe it's just like they're making it on the smaller fab process, so it's like more energy efficient and smaller
Yeah.
and lighter. So, but technically, it's like the same. So they don't want to like
Yeah, so it's
but it means that so it's like technically the same capabilities, but because it's uses less power, they can run it out of.
Yeah,
They can it can over or not overclock, but
it would be like having the Switch and the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
In the fact that jump is like, yeah, there's an OLED screen, but there's a few other things.
Yeah.
But it means that it can like it doesn't get limited by its power consumption as much, so it does actually end up being more effective. But anyway, the thrust of this story
Yes.
is that the new processor is called Sephiroth. The old processor was called Aerith, and the new processor has killed the old one because of that. Spoilers for a video game that was very old.
You should know by now.
Also, still getting remade and coming out again.
Yes.
Don't worry,
she
they'll
lives.
probably murder her in a
That's
different
true.
way.
That's true. Maybe that whole scene is different.
Yeah.
I don't think she gets to live.
And then the whole progression. Now, the whole thing of who kills who, and as they go now. Beige wrote this story.
Not this one, no.
No, not this one. Sorry.
No. But I did enjoy it because there was definitely the thing of like, well, look, the next person who kills Sephiroth would be Cloud. Okay, maybe Genova, I think is what.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played Final Fantasy VII either, but then it's like, who kills Cloud? And it's like, I immediately jumped to, well, we got to go to Smash Brothers for this. Or Final Fantasy Tactics.
Final Fantasy VII was, even at the, like, obviously, it's basically was like the most successful Final Fantasy. It was like order of magnitude more popular than the previous Final Fantasy game. And so the Cloud and Sephiroth and some of the other characters showed up as like guest stars in like tons of other PlayStation games.
Did you know he shows up in Kingdom Hearts?
I did do it, yeah.
It's very weird.
Isn't Sephiroth like one of the big bad guys in Kingdom Hearts?
He's a extra boss fight you can do, and he's scary as heck, and I can't figure out how to do that.
Does he have a sword that's like
Cloud is getting
30 feet
manipulated
long?
by Hades into fighting you, and he's wearing Vincent's cape, which is also very weird. I still don't know why.
There's probably.
But also, all of these characters are also in Smash, Sora included. Like, you could have gone any number of ways with this. I like the bit.
So Mickey Mouse will be the very last CPU they make, because if Cloud gets killed by Sora and Sora gets killed by Mickey Mouse in the game,
well, that depends.
I'm assuming that's what happens in Kingdom Hearts.
If we ever stop lengthening copyright for Disney's benefit,
Yeah.
I feel like Mickey Mouse might be the only one that would come after them.
We're gonna get Steamboat Willie pretty soon.
Oh,
Which is not technically Mickey Mouse.
No.
But anyway. So yes, Graham goes through the sort of 6 degrees of separation of people killing other people.
yeah.
I love
I think some people were calling it 6 degrees of Sephiroth.
I like that. I also like the take that they don't have to worry because Valve never comes out with the 3rd edition of anything.
Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't go that route. Like, I know the joke is that Valve can't count to 3, but I feel like that's the obvious joke.
Also, notice that this isn't. Like, that's a good reason why this isn't the Steam Deck 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't do the Steam Deck.
They can still do the Steam Deck 2.
Yeah.
They just will never do the Steam Deck 3. Also, I like that quite a few people were like, when you're talking about people defeating a god, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Kirby, not Kratos.
Yeah, Kirby.
Yeah.
The one thing I probably do want to point out with the Steam OLED is that it is the same form factor. So if you're doing that thing where you bought like the first one, and because the first one's basically on sale until they get rid of it, and then this one's supplanting it completely, and then I believe the OLED is the same price as when the first one came out, but it's got like a little bit of extra storage and stuff in it, which is great. But because they're keeping the same form factor, all of the, like, if they make a dock or any of those things, everything should just still fit the same, so you don't have to worry about your accessories.
Although it is annoying when I was doing the graphics for this story, from a graphical standpoint, the fact that the OLED and the old one look identical, other than the screen, which doesn't really come across on photographs, is annoying. Like, I can't be like, oh, here's the old one, here's the new one. They just
Yeah, they look the same.
look the same. Although I did like, I decided to just go with the same picture of a processor with different pictures on it.
The thing that really gets me though is I'm like, Valve has so many other characters that belong to them, and they decide to name their processors after Square Enix characters.
If we told people about the characters that we make, they might think we're making games again.
I guess.
And I don't
maybe,
think
yeah.
Valve is allowed to make games anymore.
No, I'm just. They could have called the first chip GLaDOS.
Sure.
You know, that would have been maybe a thing, or name them after the two. What's the name of the two bots that you play in Portal 2?
Yeah, I
Bot
forget
1 and Bot 2. I've never actually played
I
Portal.
forget what their
Wheatley.
no,
that's from
Wheatley's the other guy.
Borderlands or something, isn't it?
No, Wheatley's the
Peabody and Atlas.
yeah, Peabody and Atlas. Yeah,
Thank you, isn't
Wheatley is the other AI in Portal 2.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, isn't it?
Calling your processor after like the AI that goes insane and kills everybody,
Yeah.
though, like might not be exactly what you want to put forward as the idea.
It's fair.
I love the from the first Portal game, the brilliant dialogue of the like when you have when you're fighting GLaDOS at the end, and you have this like you grab one of the cores that's attached to her and throw it into the fire thing, and she goes, "Oh, thank you for taking that off. That was the core that was attached to limit my capabilities. It was attached after I flooded the base with a deadly neurotoxin to stop me flooding the base with a deadly neurotoxin. So sit tight, let me get the neurotoxin emitters warmed up."
Wow. That's fun. Just like the next story is fun.
Indeed. Epic and Google. Whoever loses, we win, maybe?
I mean, my
I don't know.
understanding
Whoever
was
wins, we don't care.
When Epic went after Apple, all their advertising was them going after Apple, but they were also running the same lawsuits against Google at the same time anyway.
I don't think...
Was
I
it
don't
the
know.
same complaints?
They have the similar complaints against Google. I think they were primarily going against Apple at that time. Because the other thing is, part of this is that they had the official way to get Fortnite on an Android device for a long time was side loading. They actually told people how to side load it on, like as in get it not through the Play Store. And so they were bypassing, which is something that you can do on Android devices. And so that was sort of part of the thing, was that you could do that on Android and you couldn't do that on iOS devices. But it's like, there's like warning things and stuff. So it's not a great experience. And also you don't want to be like teaching your user base to install random things over side loading, because that's how you get Android viruses.
Yeah.
Well, some of it. Anyway, so yeah, they're now going hardcore fighting between Epic and Google. I'm sure we will get other various amusing leaks from the
That would be fun.
thing. The fact
I don't think we'll get probably as many as we got from the other one.
No,
but
probably not. The Project Electra, which is just trying to buy a controlling stake in Epic or a big stake in Epic, or possibly teaming up with Tencent to purchase Epic.
I should really do that when I buy things more often too. Give them project names.
Yeah, Project Electra.
I'd like to go shopping this Christmas. Well, time for Project Holiday.
Yeah, Project Electra is way too cool a name for like we're gonna buy something.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like an internal like ooh Skunkworks project or something. Like we're gonna make some cool piece of technology. It's just like, yeah, we're just gonna buy a thing.
I'm sure everything had to have a name, or has to have a name though, or something like has to have a project name within the company. So it's like, what are we gonna call it this time? Like I spin the wheel. It's
Project
this.
Moneybags.
Yeah.
What words have we not used yet? Yeah, I did see a comment on the episode of ChillPoint where someone was, I'm not sure if they were joking or not, but they said they didn't know who to cheer for in this scenario, whether they should cheer for Epic or Google, because if one wins, then maybe like YouTube will get taken over by whatever, which won't happen. And if another one wins, maybe this will because they'll have less money to maintain whatever. That won't happen, for one thing. Not in that manner. But secondly, you don't. This is it's two people having a money fight. You don't cheer for anyone.
No.
Nobody wins in this scenario. That is interesting in any way.
Yeah. I mean, the real winners in this scenario are the security experts for both Epic and Google, that apparently, because they were, doing a ton of special overtime research work and testifying and so forth. I think there's something like the quote was something like they're being paid like $750 an hour.
Yeah.
to testify for about how, one testifying about how the having the Fortnite in the Play Store is a security thing, and one guy testifying about how it's not. Fighting.
Those two guys go to lunch and high five.
Yeah. They're like, okay. Tomorrow we'll just switch roles.
Yeah.
See if we can get another 150,000.
Yeah.
Let's just switch name tags, see if they notice. Yeah.
And then, this is the story that Beej wrote.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? This is something that is, I think, something that is a truism not only in the video game industry.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we here at London Rerun would know anything about things being delayed in order to increase their quality, but it happens occasionally. And so, that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. And of course, the great thing about this, if you look that up online, you'll find dozens of
attributions.
Dozens of, specifically with the Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
You'll find dozens of pictures of him looking thoughtful with that beside him.
Yeah.
Or inspirational type posters with picture of him.
ClickFunnels done a lot of parodies of that too. It's
entirely bullhonky. Maybe he said it at some point.
Yeah. But so did a lot of other people.
It's
Also, if he said it probably would have been in Japanese, and so the translation probably would have been different anyway.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. He does speak a bit of English.
Oh, that's true, I guess.
But it is one of those things where a lot of quotes do often get misattributed. And the people who get remembered saying them are generally higher profile people than originally who really did say them. But part of the problem is as well things that are like everyone says that he said this quote, but he might have, right? But it's just you can't find the original.
Yeah.
Right? You can't, because maybe he said it at dinner, or maybe somebody was just repeating it. It's one of those things that, not every part of our lives is currently recorded, at least in an accessible way that we can also go and check our transcripts on.
Yeah.
So...
And there's a lot of interviews with a lot of people in a lot of different magazines, and that's kind of how far back you have to go to find out who said this.
And it's entirely possible, as the person who, in the end,
Gets the credit,
has, as they say explicitly, it's an idea that was around. I think this was my original. I didn't get this from anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's an idea that was certainly around at the time, so it's entirely possible that other people had said similar things.
Yeah, Siobhan Beeman is the one who's ultimately credited with this. And what's interesting about this is that if you kind of the person who did the article where I was pulling this from, and I think this very funny. So here's what I did to write this story. First, I was on Mastodon. So go to kind.social and join Mastodon. You can find out interesting things from interesting sources. And I saw a toot come up that referred to a specific article. And then I saw, when I was going through Nintendo Life, I saw that they were writing about how Gabe Newell had said, late is just for a little while, suck is forever.
A documentary about about Half-Life has just recently come out.
Yeah, that's where that's from. So the Nintendo Life was like, "Hey, cool!" But that's literally him paraphrasing the very, very famous Miyamoto thing. However, we're not even sure if Miyamoto originally said it or not. And they had to link to one of their other articles. So if you click on that, it goes back to 2022, where they're talking about how it's like no one can actually find original attribution to that quote. And then I remember this toot that I'd read that this person, that Kate Willaert, I'm going to get that so wrong, and I'm sorry, on her blog, acriticalhit.com, had said, like, this is weird that we don't really know where this comes from. So she started doing the research, and she went back in time and doing like the Google book searches and everything else.
And the article is neat because it sort of traces the lineage.
It's a really good article. Go check out that one.
Ends up on a 1996 transcript of some goings on at GDC. Where the person who says it there says that's actually attributed to my significant other who works at Origin, or who did work at Origin. And so here's the twist that I could not include in here, is that I went from there. I found because they talked about this 2005 retrospective of Origin that's mentioned at the very end, where Siobhan Beeman says in the retrospective that the original thing on Origins, like that Origin was saying, had kind of become a game's only late until it ships, but it sucks forever. And I'm like, oh god, it's this almost the same thing as what Gabe Newell said in this recent documentary. And so I was like, well, I want to find out more about where that came from, like where that retrospective come from. And so I clicked on this a link from acriticalhit.com that goes to this other blog. And I find a whole article about somebody had written how Miyamoto maybe didn't say this original thing. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And I read through more of the article, and I find out that the person, Ethan Johnson, I think is their name, they had written this entire article already, saying that the same thing that Kate had to do, Ethan had already kind of done a little of this and said, oh yeah, this actually comes from this other person, from Siobhan Beeman, and they had written it up, and it's been on the web. The proof of where this has come from has been on the web for a few years, and nobody knew about it because it's not one of those things that got picked up by a bunch of like other blogs and a bunch of other places to say this is where this actually comes from. And it took Kate having to write an article about it for their blog, somebody then saying, hey, on Mastodon, hey, have you read this thing that's really cool? Me reading it and discovering that, oh my god, we've always thought it was the wrong thing. And then tying that together for me to learn about it, and then to also tie that into like checkpoints. Now you're learning about it through this weird way. And it's like the news has always been out there, right? We've always known this, apparently, but it doesn't get popular enough until more people start talking about it, which is also, I think, kind of a meta commentary on how the news works, is that who's going to think of it as news that, oh, Miyamoto didn't actually say this?
I remember a long time ago sort of coming up with my own version of that, not about video game, but when we were, back when we were doing sketches and stuff, I especially when we started Loading Ready Run, I'm a pretty shy person.
Yeah.
That might be a surprise to some of you. I don't know, because I'm on streams and stuff. But and sometimes we'd be doing, you'd be doing a sketch, and we'd be doing stuff in public. You'd be acting like a weirdo at like UVic or somewhere where there's other people downtown.
Yeah.
And that's tough. Like, you don't. It's embarrassing sometimes. And I had to really focus and sort of think about this idea that I think there's probably a couple of instances where I did this badly and I tried to improve on it, where this idea of like your embarrassment is fleeting, but the recording of this is going to be, you know, forever. And if you kind of half-ass it because you don't talk, you talk quietly or whatever because you don't want to be embarrassed in the moment, then the permanent recording of it is going to be bad and embarrassing, and that's much worse. And so you know, it's hard. I remember sort of being like, yes, that you know, the embarrassment is fleeting, but the video end result is forever. So the suck is forever. So that was something that I had to work on, and I still probably have to work on.
I do think it is interesting to find out who spoke a thing originally, but also there's so many ways for the origin of an idea doesn't do much in regards to anything. Like I can say a thing, but if somebody more popular than me says it, then it gets attributed to that person. Also, or if you say a thing and it's not recorded, but somebody else says it, and because I've seen this a few times with our content where someone will be like, "Oh, so and so stole your video idea," and it's like, did they? I mean, sometimes people have the same idea.
There's definitely convergent evolution
you know,
that happens, and you know this. I'm sure this quote or a quote like it has been said by people who didn't get it from each other.
And I imagine there are some people who really like the this sucks forever because it's got a bit of a stronger like punch to it. I've always really liked the more refined, cleaned up, lasts forever or is bad forever. But you know,
if Miyamoto had said it sucks forever,
I don't think anyone would have believed it was
whatever the Japanese translation of sucks forever is.
It's like, you know, I could probably put it together. It'd take me a few minutes though. Soul would probably come up in it.
Yeah, I also
what's the Japanese word for what a vacuum cleaner does?
It would basically be like, you know, like, the more rough way of saying it would be that it's shit forever. So that would probably work that in there.
I also don't think this quote is quite as relevant as it used to be. Like in the 80s and the 90s, definitely, because you couldn't really patch your games, right?
That's true.
And today, and I'm not saying that it doesn't mean that like in today's field is kind of always felt that quote has always meant more to me like the idea of you can only launch a game once, right? Where the first time you put a thing out, that is the reputation your thing will have for a very long time.
See Cyberpunk.
But we have No Man's Sky. Like we do have instances where
Final Fantasy
that's
14.
not really true. And we have remakes of things as well now and other things, and so I kind of feel like it's a good quote. It's a good thing to strive for, definitely. But it's not quite as true as it used to be.
And that's that's that idea of, you know, the exception that proves the rule, right? That it's like, if you have enough exceptions here, we've seen enough exceptions that it's like we have, you know, it is testing that rule, it is proving that rule, and the rule is a lot shakier than it used to be, because when it used to all be like, you put it on a disc and you send it out to a computer game store and they sell it. It's like that's your last opportunity. Like that was you know, Golden Masters were like important for a reason.
But it's really more of a, I guess the idea of those is, I guess it's more of like a mindset than an actual like rule.
That what you want to do is ultimately it's like whatever we give people to play, that it has to be this like, great experience off the top.
The feeling I still think is there. The idea that you should want to put out something. You should want to delay something so it can be good, so we don't end up with our Pokemon Scarlet and Violets. But at the same time, we do have our No Man's Sky, so it's not like, because there's also that balance of, what is it? Perfect is the
enemy of
good or
yes.
done.
No, well, done is also a good way to put it, but yeah, perfect is the enemy of good.
Perfect is the enemy of good. So it's like there's,
Yeah.
you
You've
know,
got to have a balance.
at some point a thing has to ship, especially in the capitalist society we live in which money needs to happen.
Yeah. But even in the sense of if you remove the idea of capitalism from it, if somebody is creating something, and they're like, it's not done yet, I don't want you to see it. It's not done yet, I don't want you to see it, and they eventually die. It's like, well, I guess it's done, because like it has to be done now because you can't work on it anymore. And it's like that's not the way you should have to leave a thing that you've made for the world. Is that you should be able to say, I've made this thing. What do you think of it, world? Or I don't give a shit what you think of it, world, but I made it. So. Giving yourself an opportunity to be like, things don't have to be 100% perfect. But they can be close enough.
Since we're going to be depressing about it, Eminem is apparently 51.
That's a hell of a thing.
Speaking of things that are capitalism, Eminem's going to be in Fortnite. It's part of a new, the next Fortnite event. There's a bunch of Eminem skins that are going to be in Fortnite, and I believe he's going to do like a concert. So, yeah.
I was really confused by the video footage at the end because I really wasn't paying attention. And then I saw Beast Boy, and I was like, wait, Beast Boy, okay, Beast Boy treason. Wait, why is Eminem turning into an ape? I don't understand.
So the unfortunately, for the purposes of the video, the like teaser trailer of Eminem sort of revealing that Eminem is in it is like 30 seconds long and mostly just shows like it's basically just like showing like a TV screen with like his music playing in the background. Like it doesn't show anything that would work. It just
feels like it's he's doing a concert maybe, but that's not what they mean. They're putting him into it.
And so the video that I actually used in the episode is just a video that somebody made of with the Eminem skin. Showing the Eminem skin doing a bunch of the like weird emotes that you can get in. So like there's like one with like the Venom emote.
I feel like sometimes grabbing video for that end piece must be hard because it's either a video doesn't exist so you have a still image, or the video loses a lot without the sound for context.
Yeah, it is often.
And we take the sound out.
It is often difficult. Yeah. It's often difficult to have a video or some like and like a lot of the time sometimes the video will be sort of like if the story is about whatever like if the little coming up thing is about like Minecraft, maybe the video is just like a general Minecraft video as opposed to like about whatever is being talked about. It doesn't really like the video is just sort of there as set dressing.
Oh, sure.
While it's happening, just for
I know. Look at. I know it's a nice to have if you can make it line up.
But but yeah, sometimes we do have to do it with stills and stuff too. But although I do take advantage, there's a whole genre of like people who make YouTube videos that are just them reading. They're like, hey, Microsoft has a new controller coming out. And so then I want, like, there's no video of this controller. They've just released a couple of stills.
Right.
But there'll be somebody, like, sometimes there'll be somebody who, like, makes a video of them reading the press release and showing the stills.
Oh, they'll have, like, the Ken Burns effect on them.
Yeah, and I'll be like, okay, maybe I can use a bit of that or something. So, I mean, thank you, although I don't think those kind of videos are very useful in general, but anyway. Now let's talk about some of the stories that didn't make it into the episode, including Nintendo launching an 18+ store in Japan.
Well,
what kind of horrible
filth
is the 18+ store going to have?
It's a Switch Online app.
Yeah.
And it's for the N64.
So it is only going to be for N64 games.
Yep.
And there are only 2 games in it. They are GoldenEye 007.
Right, okay. And Conker's Bad Fur Day? Like, it's the only other 18+ game I really know.
And Jet Force Gemini.
Which is also by Rare. But
is that 18+?
In
Japan,
rated Z, which is the version.
What? Wait, what?
Because of violence, I guess.
Z?
Yeah.
Z is a rating you can get?
Yeah, it's a rating you can get. Zero gives out letter codes, and Z is like their absolute, like, this is the...
It's the bottom?
Adults only one, you know.
Is that why Zeta is so late at night?
Maybe.
Are we not?
My take on this story was like, 18 plus GoldenEye. 14-year-old Paul playing GoldenEye like with his buddies in a basement somewhere.
Right.
Be like, there's 18 plus scenes in this game?
Yeah, where are they?
He would be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Be like, there's some, hot coffee style stuff going on.
There wasn't even 18 plus content in the GoldenEye movie. Like, let's be honest, right? Like, we're all like, I think we're gonna get to see her boob. Like, either of them.
Did you get at least some side boob?
They pan over to the fireplace.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're really lucky, sometimes you get some under boob.
Yeah, but no, not even that. It was pretty tame.
No, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never played Jet Force Gemini, but apparently, Japan has very strict things about. Not only can, do you have to make it so that minors can't buy 18 plus things. They can't even see it.
Yeah.
Like it can't even be displayed.
Yeah, that's why they have special covers that go over books and stuff. I think for even when you buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just explode their minds.
Yeah, you should see some of the 18 plus games kids play these days.
Yeah.
Roblox.
Yeah. Jesus.
It's like Canada, or at least BC, has that same thing for smoking. Like, not only can kids not buy cigarettes, of course,
They can't see them.
but they can't
If they can't see them, they won't know.
They can't see cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly smell them. God, I hate.
I
Sometimes when I walk down the street, I manage to get just behind a person who's smoking, and it's not often, but it's enough.
Not like a paper bag. More like it's just a book cover. Like, you can buy a fancy book cover that fits the book that you have, but it's got no titles or anything on them. It has like flowers and stuff on the outside, so you can sit on the train. You can read your smut in peace.
In Japan, it's very popular to have book covers just for your regular books, so that people don't know what you're reading for privacy reasons.
And also protects the book as well, which is a nice thing. You get one that have like plastic on the outside and stuff. But
we used to make them in school for our textbooks.
What I think is funny is that GoldenEye's already out. GoldenEye 007 is already in the N64 NSO expansion pack thing, right? Like, over here.
But it hasn't been in Japan, I guess.
Yeah, it was not in Japan, partially because of this reason. It's like, well, because the ratings we're going to have to...
we just got Jet Force Gemini as well.
Yeah, so it's like, we have to split this off. And that is very interesting, because it sounds very prurient. This was going to be... If I was on this week, I thought I might have been, and then I found out I wasn't, and I was like, I don't want to write a ChillPoint story for somebody else and have it not really come out the right way. And then I was like, I could write a ChillPoint story that somebody else is forced to read, that they're just like completely just like, why does he write these things? But very self-serving.
Just start the story with, I want to be clear that Beige wrote this story.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to ChillPoint.
Japan being a place where everyone smokes is not true anymore.
Not everybody smokes.
It was true in the sense that everybody used to smoke here in like the 1950s, but they've been cracking down on that over time, and so that's not as true as it used to be.
It's funny. I did a bunch of work for a guy who ran a cigar shop here, because the weird thing about at least BC anyway, cigars and smokes and stuff, including Cuban cigars and stuff, are fine to sell and everything, right?
Yeah, we don't have an embargo.
But just you can't. But children cannot be exposed to it.
Yes.
So, but the weird thing was he ran this cigar store, but he couldn't have anything like in the windows or anything to advertise that it was a cigar shop.
Oh.
But he not got around it, but the tricky thing was, and this is where you have two government agencies fighting each other, and he just kind of stood back because it was a historical cigar shop. So it had this beautiful hand carved cigars sign from the 1800s on it, and it was like a designated heritage thing.
Hell yeah.
So it's like, I can't remove that,
That's so great.
but also I can't advertise. You guys fight about what I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
because there would have been a time where they wouldn't have cared.
But then, like, in the windows, he had to put, like, all the, like, stuff that you can get in a cigar shop that isn't cigars.
Yeah.
Like, fancy humidors.
Shaving kits
lighters.
And
things.
shaving kits and lighters. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
things.
because you can expose kids to fire. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't. I was bad with matches.
Anyway. Speaking of things you shouldn't use matches with,
Most things.
the Playdate, the cool little black and white thing with the crank, which I guess could describe a few things. But anyway,
Crankable handheld.
it now has over 100 titles. They hit a thing way ahead of the Sega Saturn. So good for you guys.
I wonder if Panic is actually, you could use that as a marketing point. Holy shit.
And that's their catalog is a curated catalog in the sense that you have to get approved by Panic. So clearly,
Well, because you can sideload stuff off of like Itch.io
Yeah.
and whatnot. You don't
Yeah.
have to, but the catalog gives you some exposure.
but clearly, the next big lawsuit is going to be Epic versus Panic.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
Epic is really against anybody having their
Own store.
their own
I'd
proprietary
I'd
store.
like to see them put a version of Fortnite on the Playdate.
You have to crank to walk forward.
I wouldn't
crank
play
to
it,
walk backwards. Yeah.
but I would be interested to see that. Yeah, I've got a bunch of Playdate games I haven't played yet. They keep popping up on my device.
You gonna maybe run another stream?
I
one of
think
these
I'm gonna
days?
have to
That would be
because
fun.
there's one that just popped up called Forest Burns Up in Smoke,
Okay.
and I'm there for the pun.
Oh yeah, fair.
So
A related thing to that, if I remember correctly, is that Jer was working on a Desert Bus remake or I guess a port to Playdate.
Yeah.
And he has it on Itch.io.
for the game jam for the Desert Bus Game Jam. Yeah, this last year.
I have a tab open for that. I need to put that on my Playdate too because I
Yeah.
figure I gotta show that off.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna play it for as long as you all pretend to play Desert Bus.
But it did make me think. I'm like, I wonder if he went to the same like level of detail that Ian keeps talking about for all the things where it's like if you wait long enough, you watch the heat rise in the thing, obviously, and as you drive, you can watch the heat drop and like those
I mean,
kind of things.
it's a
and-
game jam game.
Yeah.
I think there's an intention to make some other stuff happen with it. But
Ah, okay. Oh, that was the second Desert Bus port to the Playdate. Wow.
Wow.
Thanks, Sokar.
Do you want Zelda Ocarina of Time to look super pretty?
I mean, I think it already looks fun in its own nostalgic kind of
We
way.
want to see what it looks like in 4K if it was originally made for the Unreal Engine 5.
Ooh.
Like Fortnite with a little extra plasticine.
Yeah, he looks a little plasticky, but he
Yeah.
does look pretty neat.
Yeah.
I do like the look of him. With all the fabric and stuff. Apparently
I
they
don't
does
know
seem like
that.
a toy.
I don't know that his head
Like
fits that.
the fabric and everything.
Like there's
does
some
also
good
give off
stuff
a
to
sense
this,
of-
but there is kind of like a.
Yeah. Does he move? Is he just gonna stand there? He's gonna. Oh, he has idle animations. Cute.
Yeah, I don't think they actually have him running around or anything. But this was done as just an animation exercise. They show you before and after.
Better make it look real shitty. There we go. Yeah. I mean,
I'd like. I wouldn't mind this kind of thing with the original Smash Brothers because I really like how the original Smash Brothers was about toys on a dresser.
Yeah.
And Smash has kind of deviated from that idea now, but I think an
Oh, damn it.
updated version of that with
You see him
this
playing
kind of look
Ocarina.
would be really cool.
Yeah.
Ocarina shouldn't be that shiny.
Yeah, I feel
Oh,
like,
that's the special one.
Yeah.
That's the royal one.
but I feel like that one should maybe also be like.
It's also literally that shiny when you buy a copy of it.
I
okay.
guess from the factory
Yeah,
probably.
Saria's Ocarina should be less shiny, but it's also not that one. It's
But
not purple.
they were going after like the, this kind of this concept art, right?
Yeah.
Was sort of what they were basing it on. So you can see how where they're.
I
where they're
remember
going.
those magazines.
Still more of these kind of there's a it's funny that because you showed this, did you also have the Studio Ghibli looking thing?
I don't think so.
It's funny that because you put this in the doc for us to be like, hey, check it, like if you were to, this is what Link and the Temple of Time looked like in Unreal Engine 5 if you were by some people who were implementing it that way. I happened to at the same time watch a video that somebody, or part of a video anyway, of
It's like, what if Zelda used Studio Ghibli style? There's no sound right now.
yeah,
I
what
was
if
checking.
what if they did do a Studio Ghibli style thing, and it was like I think it's still Ocarina of Time, but it's like Legend of Zelda, Castle Town, Studio Ghibli. You can see it on YouTube, and it looks pretty cool. It's
I will note, anytime somebody makes a version of something that's Zelda,
yeah,
90% of the time,
yeah,
it's Ocarina of Time based.
yeah. Yeah, everybody wants to see a
Ocarina
remake of it.
Ocarina of Time's the Final Fantasy VII of the.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's the like Zelda was popular, but then Ocarina was like boom.
And you know what's really funny is those two things came out in the same generation, like
Yeah.
very close to each other.
And I think I think there was a I think the N64 and the PlayStation were just more prevalent than
Yeah, the previous
than the
systems.
previous generation. Like
Yeah.
they were just
I think
a bigger deal.
I would say that because the PlayStation had come out at that point, and that it was like now there's another video game console.
and they
on
were
the
both
market.
the first 3D
Yeah.
thing. I bet some things are going to show up in Among Us
Oh,
that are
good.
going to be very, very sus. Look! This was a teaser picture that they posted
Okay.
on.
That's Celeste.
So we got Celeste.
That looks like a Hat in Time, maybe?
Hat in Time could be
Yeah.
there.
I see a shovel. So are we doing a Shovel Knight thing down below there?
Could be, although that doesn't
That's
look
not
like
really night looky though.
Okay.
this. I mean, this looks like an angry goose over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That does look like the.
Although it
the
doesn't.
game.
It doesn't actually look like the angry. It could be a more cartoony version of the goose from Untitled
Oh
Goose
yeah,
Game.
you know what? I think chat's right. That could be Necrodancer down in the shovel.
Yeah, that
with
makes a lot more
with
sense.
the music and stuff.
I understand why you went with Shovel Knight though. They're in like
Everything,
everything.
right?
This could be like Super Meat Boy, maybe.
I'm not sure of that one.
I don't know, but anyway, very exciting that because previously I feel like
What a great splash image.
Among Us, they've had customization in terms of different hats, but that's been about it. So
Yeah.
they're going
With full-on Kigurumis now, you can just wear something that looks like
doing this sort of Fall Guys thing where
Yeah.
like you completely
Right, with the bean suits.
Undertale or maybe Deltarune. Because somebody says the teal thing in the top there could be the fish lady.
oh yeah,
Something.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I could kind of see that being in
I'm
there.
glad we can crowdsource this with enough
Yeah.
nerds to be like, we all have enough combination, like, knowledge
I mean, I'm
of
sure
what everything is.
I'm sure somebody's been like doing side by side comparisons.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not, no.
This is only marginally video game related, but it is game related. Disney's Lorcana, which we will be playing on the stream in the near future, again. It's Disney's new card game.
TCG.
Very cool. Yeah, TCG. Very cool card game. They've been having some trouble because it's very, very popular, and the first run sold out very quickly. And so they accelerated the second, the second
Expansion?
or the first expansion,
First expansion.
and also a reprint of the first run.
Okay.
And also what they wanted to do, and also to put it out, because the other problem is that, of course, when the demand gets so high and supply gets so low, retailers crank up the prices.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to. They're sort of in the same area as like Pokemon, where Disney wants the game to be successful, but also the game is primarily a marketing vehicle for everything else.
Yes.
So they're okay to just flood the market.
Yeah.
They're not trying to get people to they're not trying to really. They don't care about the secondary market that much, so they're okay with just flooding it.
It's more of a Pokemon strategy.
So they're like, let's just sell direct as well as having it retailers. So Ravensburger was like, we're just going to sell to people direct. Unfortunately, that didn't work so well. They got massively the moment they opened their store to sell cards or to sell things directly on Monday, they got massively DDoS'd.
They weren't ready for that.
And so to the extent that they actually were just like, okay, we're not doing that. Like, it wasn't that like nobody could get it and so they had to struggle along. They actually just were like, okay, we'll have to come up with a new idea. We can't sell it this way.
and that, strictly speaking, is just because a bunch of people, and I say a bunch, like so many people showed up to try to buy stuff that it basically shut the website down.
No, this was actually a DDoS attack.
This is a proper attack.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this isn't getting slashed on it.
No, this wasn't a friendly hug. This was somebody deliberate, somebody or group deliberately targeting them to break thing. Possibly
Cool.
because they had already bought a lot of the cards, and so they didn't want more people to be able to buy the cards because then their value would go down.
Yep, that's people for you.
But it wouldn't matter anyway because they're gonna sell the cards any way they can. If they have the stock, they want to get rid of it.
But if they can't sell them, and people are, especially when we hit this time of year, are desperately trying to get stuff for gifts or things.
Sure.
You can do that. You can make time
Yeah,
an
it does-
enemy.
You're right, because it does
it's-
take a lot longer to get stuff into the channel.
Check this out.
Than just selling direct.
So Ravensburger is the company that makes the thing. Their store system uses a system called Qfare. I don't know what, and so but that is their sort of managed store thing, I guess, in the same way that we use like Shopify. The Qfare put out a statement saying Qfare can confirm that we experienced an unprecedented challenge yesterday when both our systems and the Ravenburger systems were unexpectedly targeted by the most aggressive DDoS attack we've ever seen during yesterday's product launch. We had proactively provisioned architecture to accommodate more than 25 times the number of human beings that that requested to join the queue. So more than 25 times the number of actual people. So our automatic network level bot protection successfully thwarted 95% of the almost 5 million bot traffic requests reaching our servers. And
prevented bots from joining queues. Yeah.
But it appears that the more measures we put into place, the more aggressive the attack became. However, the ramp up in the scale of attack shortly after the queue opened did temporarily overload the original provisioned cluster and did take us longer than we would have liked to safely and securely move the human visitors to a larger cluster capable of showing pages to all visitors while the attack was ongoing. So anyway, they're going to hopefully figure out a way of dealing with that in the future. So this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
People
will say, hey, that's not a bad problem to have. I'm like, really? That actually is a pretty bad problem to have. I mean, your product being that popular that people are targeting your websites, so you
if
can't
the
sell
people
it.
were real people, that would be different.
Yeah.
But, I like, because we only do ChillPoint once a week. You do end up sometimes like two of the stories I marked. Or one of the stories I marked was Fortnite promises an unforgettable live event on December 2nd.
All right.
What will it be? It turned out it was Eminem.
Oh.
It's not December 2nd yet.
The story,
They told us?
the story and the reveal were both pieces of news that had
At the
been
same
done.
time,
Yeah.
okay.
Pokemon's a long-running franchise, right?
Yeah, it has
It's been going on for a long time, yeah.
How long should it go on?
Well,
In an interview with The Guardian, Takoto Utsunomiya
So Takoto Utsunomiya. Yeah.
has stated that he spends all day, every day thinking about Pokemon, working to ensure that the brand has long-term
Big
or
deal.
longevity.
I know 6-year-olds who are like that.
My job, I spend all day, every day thinking about Pokemon. Our goal is to keep Pokemon alive for hundreds of years, making sure it survives well past our lifetimes.
Yeah.
well, I mean, it would if it goes that long, definitely. It's Pokemon came out in what 96 for us.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So, I mean, it's still got a ways to go to hit that first triple digit.
When all else has turned to ashes, there will be Pokemon.
I mean, out of all the plastics and stuff that might still be around after we're all dead.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They make a lot of stuff.
Post-apocalyptic world might have to start like, might end up like worshiping some giant Snorlax.
I mean, if they're lucky, they overdo Pikachu with a lot of stuff, so it might be like a desiccated Pikachu that's no longer yellow.
I like Avery Corvus's take. Hundreds of years, which, to be clear, as a normal human, exceeds my lifetime, as it does for all of us. Yes.
Oh, like they might be a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
They could be. I would not be surprised that if we have vampires, that they are like CEOs and executives. And people with lots of money.
Now, there are baby Pokemon.
Yes.
They grow up eventually.
Do Pokemon die of old age?
No, but when they do die, some of them become ghost Pokemon.
Right.
Oh, no.
So do some of the humans.
Oh, no.
Humans are also ghost Pokemon.
But do Pokemon, like, have we ever seen an old Pokemon?
Like walking around, like in the anime, like
so
walking
in the
around
anime,
with a
they
walker
have
and
had
stuff?
Pokemon that have gotten like older, like that don't seem to quite have that young spark anymore. But not in that like, oh, they've got a cane and walker kind of aspect.
Because like Arceus is a living god, and a lot of the legendaries
there are also gods that are Pokemon.
Yeah, so the legendaries are all like probably ageless as well.
Honestly,
Right.
I'm surprised humans exist in this
But yeah.
ecosphere anymore, because really we shouldn't be at the top of that food chain.
Some Pokemon do die and their children wear their skulls as a helmet.
Except we've never seen that happen.
No, it's true.
So you calling Cubone a liar?
I'm calling whatever the kid... Cubone didn't lie. Cubone just said, Cubone. Whatever
Put a skull on his head.
whatever the kid is that wrote that thing might have lied.
Oh, right. Yes, you're right. That's right. Because the entries aren't written by adults who do peer review. They're written by children who walk around with these things all day.
That is true.
Uh,
I mean, there is the balloon Drifloon like steals Pokemon, steals children.
yeah.
Maybe that's how they get more of those sarcophagus Pokemon.
I mean, this is really interesting that the CEO or the COO considers the viability of the Pokemon company to be like, this thing has to go on for hundreds of years. And I can kind of see where they get that attitude from, because Nintendo is over 100 years old at this point, and they started by making like playing cards and that kind of stuff. So there's that idea of like, there's nothing wrong with a gaming company being this old. There's nothing wrong with a gaming company continuing to make stuff like that far into the future.
But there's a different... sorry, go ahead.
Pokemon's not just a video game anymore.
Yeah.
It's true.
It could exist in some form for hundreds of years.
And it's not like Nintendo's whole business is Hanafuda cards, right? Their whole business now is Mario and Zelda.
But there's a difference between like a company existing for X amount of years,
Yeah.
and one
IP.
IP of that company existing for.
Mickey Mouse.
But
We are going to come up against the edge of that, though, right? Like, that's like, what's going to happen when these things get so old that people maybe don't find them as interesting anymore? Can you pivot?
I mean, that's why you just make more Pokemon all the
Yeah,
time.
true.
Also, he touched on the subject in the interview about people being not so happy with Scarlet and Violet from a technical point of view. Regardless of whether we publicly respond, we are always paying close attention to the feedback and conversations happening in the communities.
Well, yes.
There are certain aspects where we can't always be 100% aligned with what parts of the community are asking for and what we want to provide. But we do this with the desire to keep Pokemon going for a very long time, and we believe that fans and players are aligned with us in that respect.
Okay. Technically,
Yeah.
it's true that necessarily what fans want is not what a company will give you.
Yeah.
But you would hope a product that is not that buggy is not like the intention.
Yeah.
That's a little worrying.
But I just it's like, look, you wanted a game that wasn't weird and glitchy and looked good and had a draw distance of more than 10 feet. We wanted to get a lot of money and not spend a lot of work on the game.
Yeah.
So you see, our interests weren't 100% aligned.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're in the same ballpark.
Yeah. Now that's probably not what they're actually trying to say. They're just trying to say, we do listen, but we're not going to do everything you say, which is just true of a human being.
That's true of our company too, Paul.
That's true.
No,
That's true.
A human being.
Yeah.
Right?
We listen. Sometimes we
will
ignore,
listen.
but we do listen.
But,
Yeah. I can't even prove that a cat listens. Humans at least listen. A cat might not even listen to you at all. And they'll just do
that's
whatever
just
they
the
want.
cat being smart and realizing that if it pretends not to listen,
But
you
man,
might shut up.
The position of saying it's like, hey, so maybe our goals aren't 100% aligned here, and it's like, I think you owe people a functional performant product, not something that's free of bugs 100%. Look at Tears of the Kingdom, right? That game did not come out free of bugs. There were dupe bugs, there were other bugs that were in it.
Yeah, sure.
And they spent many years on it. It's right. Pokemon clearly has this idea that their turnover has to be faster.
Yeah, I mean, this quote would come out feeling different if it was after Sword and Shield, which had a lot of people angry about the Pokedex not being fully in there, which was never. It was going to be a thing that bit them eventually, and stuff about the trees not looking super pretty and stuff like that. And it's sure, that I could kind of get a little bit more on with, but some of those glitches in Scarlet and Violet are really goofy.
I feel like the things we're going to have to look forward to is what the next game is going to be. Especially if it's going to be they're going to hold off on their next mainline game for whatever the next console is, for Nintendo's next console, because I feel like that might be what they're planning on doing at this point in the. I
mean, I think that is a lot. I mean, for me, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, but I like Pokemon. I've been playing it. I've been very much enjoying playing it with my brother, and I would say it's a testament to how strong the gameplay loop of Pokemon is, that I still enjoy playing with my brother, despite the fact that especially the multiplayer stuff in Pokemon is just it's you just need a few little things and it could be so much better.
Yeah. Have you played Legends?
I haven't.
No. Oh, okay. It's a much better game.
I know. I've heard that.
Yeah. It's not got multiplayer or anything like that. That might be what's really helping.
Well, speaking of things that can mess things up in multiplayer.
Oh, no.
In the past on ChillPoint, we've talked about skins in multiplayer games that are controversial because they give players an advantage. Often these are ones where the character is wearing an all black outfit,
right?
And so then they can just be I'm in a shadow.
Yeah, or they're really quiet.
Yeah, but there's the Gaia skin, for Modern Warfare, has been causing a lot of consternation. Which the Gaia skin, I can switch over.
It looks very bright and green. I don't think I could hide in a shadow with that.
I mean, that's kind of, I think that there's a light stuff. Basically, you look a lot like kind of mean Groot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the big thing, if you noticed, it's got a lot of holes in it.
Wait, okay, hang on.
Wait.
Those are actual holes. That's not just a thing we did. We made it transparent so you could see through it.
No, okay, it isn't that you don't get shot if you get to
Okay.
But visually, it has a lot of holes in it.
Right.
And it's actually brown. It's sort of a dark brown. And so you end up with when people like here's a
You'd
this
be
is a
brown
video.
on.
Who thought this was so
Oh yeah, you
Oh
kind of.
crap! I did not see him right away.
Yeah.
like here's this guy dies and then slow-mo.
Oh yeah, that's really hard to see even there.
Yeah. You know, when everybody else is wearing like tack vests and stuff, your guy is only like actually occupying basically 50% of the square of the space of him is the background.
Right. Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like having a
good
cloaking
point.
device.
Yeah, it's almost like a ghillie suit or something. He sort of is a ghillie suit.
Oof. So what are they going to do about that? Like, if I mean, obviously.
So they've at the moment and of course the big thing with this is that it was only available through the season pass, right?
Right,
So it was sort of a pay to win thing.
feel.
Yeah. So they have heard the problems and they've disabled the skin at the moment. They've temporarily removed it. I don't know what the plan is going to be. Whether it'll be just like fill. It's like
Put a glow in there or something.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I like no smoke fires thing of orange safety vest.
or make it look like it's a guy cosplaying as that. So like he's wearing like a black or a green onesie underneath all the
brown sticks.
all the vines and stuff.
I mean, and then of course, if I was somebody who bought that because I wanted to run around and kill people and be very successful, then I would be mad that you have now changed my thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's like.
I mean, if it's part of a season pass, that means you that wasn't the only thing that you acquired that way.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But it would be disappointing. They'll probably have to find some sort of solution that doesn't actually take the skin away, but.
They'll just replace it with an odd job skin.
Right.
Make
Yeah.
everybody happy.
That'll make everybody happy.
What do you mean? He's 100% visible. Yeah, and he's like 3 feet tall.
Which I like. If you actually like watch that, I forget which Bond movie that's from.
Yeah.
But like the actor who plays Oddjob is not that short.
No, he isn't. Because everyone's remembering Hervé Villechaize, I think, and they think that he's the.
Yeah, they
short one.
they somehow combine the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oddjob he's wide.
Yeah.
But he's not that
He's
short.
like 5.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Last of Us 2.
Part 2.
The Last of Us Part 2
Remastered?
is getting a remaster,
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
which
I guess, I mean, they did the
The
first
Last
one.
of Us Part 1 got remastered a few years ago. Last of Us Part 2 didn't come out that long ago.
Are they also unable to count to 3 on this series?
Possibly. They're adding a bunch of, this is, it's going to be PS5 exclusive because Naughty Dog is owned
Well,
by...
it's been out long enough that they can finally start making PS5 exclusive games
Yeah.
regularly.
So
And Naughty Dog is owned by Sony, so...
So visual performance upgrade. I have to buy a brand new game is what if I want to play this is what you're
So it's 4K,
Yeah.
unlocked frame rate options.
Okay.
Now, but the interesting thing is it's got a new roguelike mode. Like it's got a new mode where you can like play in like a randomly generated sort of arena
Neat.
thing.
Okay, so they're doing kind of like a Resident Evil style thing then, right? Where it's like there's the story, but then there's like these additional whatevers
things
that
you
you
can
kind of
do.
go
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
things.
Which it seems like I know I haven't played Last of Us Part 2. From what I understand, it's got like a pretty like deep emotional story. So to just be like, and hey, you can blast people away with it too, using and you can play as new playable characters that weren't played before, which is it seems a little bit weird, but
All right.
they the new mode will allow players to prove their mettle in randomized encounters and experience the game's combat in new ways, including various variety of playable characters, some of which are playable for the first time ever in the Last of Us franchise, and will feature unique traits to suit different play styles.
All right. So where are we dropping for Last of Us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 also, one of the things that you could do in it, I forget what Ellie, I think is the girl's name.
Mm-hmm.
She plays the guitar.
Okay.
and there was a thing where you could like play the guitar in the game.
Okay.
The remaster has fleshed out. There's now a free play guitar playing mode where you can go to you can play different instruments. You can use audio FX pedals to modulate your performance.
Okay.
I love
You
it.
can be in several different locations and play different things.
I do not
Maybe
want to
this
buy
is-
this game at
Maybe
all,
this is a new rhythm game for you.
but I do want to see other
yeah.
people do that.
Because people will get on that whole thing of like, okay, so I can learn to play the guitar by just twiddling my fingers on this controller an awful lot, and I can play these amazing songs.
It's like how I remember there's a story about in Overwatch. There's one level in Overwatch that has a piano that if you shoot the keys, they play the note.
Yes.
And people had like composed symphonies
Yeah, exactly.
from shooting this piano.
Like, again, it doesn't make me want to play or buy the game. It's a scary game with zombies. It's not really my style, which is also why I made a part 3 joke. I didn't know if it ended properly or not. But I also expect games like this that are popular to just try to make more, even if they have an ending, as opposed to, what if we just re-released it again?
It feels really weird because I'm like,
I mean, The Last of Us Part 1 wasn't The Last of Us Part 1. It was The Last
It was
of
just
Us.
The Last of
Yeah.
Us.
It
and then
retroactively became Part 1.
Yeah.
yeah. It just makes me feel like that we're on a faster and faster train when we're doing remakes. At least there's new things to do, but it's like, yeah, I'm starting to wonder how fast we're gonna get into remaking stuff. But
They also are going to have lost levels, which I'm assuming are like the
levels
Super Mario.
based on loss?
no, based on Mario 2.
These are early development slices that not only allow you to see glimpses of Part 2's world, but also embedded developer commentary in the richer context. So it's
Okay.
like this is like a scene or a section that we were thinking of putting in but didn't.
Okay.
But we'll tell you
All
why.
right. That could be interesting.
Neat idea. I like that.
And then, yeah, in the entire game's cutscenes include newly recorded director's commentary from narrative lead and the actors, including Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, and Laura Bailey. Which I've played like a couple of games with director's commentaries, and I don't know. They almost, for me anyway, they almost never work very well. For one thing, unlike a movie, a video game is like usually anyway, it's like a long experience. So like you play the game and then you got to play it all, 10, 15 hours of the game again to get the director's commentary
Yeah,
stuff.
I think the only one that I've been tempted to and like played part of with commentary on a second time was Thomas Was Alone, because it's like a 5-hour game.
I mean, Portal 1, like the first Portal game, had a very interesting commentary, and that's like an hour-long game, so it worked. But yeah, that's a tough one to have to, because you also have to like play the game, go through all the difficulty of playing the game, and then also just like stand around listening to people talk about.
Yeah, but that happens in there's these games where you have to pick up like cassette tapes and you kind of have to stand around and listen to them all
That's
the time
true.
anyway. So I
Except
feel like
theoretically, that's like plot for the game that you're playing, though, not just
Yeah,
like
but it
background
still
info.
slows it down.
I love Portal. My favorite thing about Portal's commentary mode is talking about how they spent a lot of effort sort of controlling the player's perception in terms of like guiding them in sort of a non a sort of soft guiding them.
Right.
And so they talk about, like, for one thing, players never look up, which is a problem.
Yeah.
And so, like, if they wanted you to look up, they'll have, like, a ladder.
Right.
Even if it's a ladder that you don't need to use.
Right, because then
they'll
you
just
want
have
to
the
kind of
ladder
look up to
'cause you'll
see
see
what's
what's
up
going
there.
on.
Yeah,
Or my favorite thing was
that's pretty good.
they talk about why they did there's, famously the weighted companion cube, right?
Yeah.
Which is just a cube with a heart drawn on it.
Yeah.
Because they're saying for that puzzle, they wanted you to keep the cube and reuse it in a bunch of places, and that's what they were teaching you, was that you could use objects from earlier in the puzzle and keep them with you.
Right.
And people kept leaving the thing and then getting stuck.
Right.
And so they not only made the cube with the heart on it, they made Gladys talk about it all the time.
Right.
But then they ran into the problem that people wouldn't leave the cube.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
People got to the end of the level and they wouldn't leave the level because they couldn't take the cube with them.
Yeah.
And so then they made the thing where you have to throw it into the incinerator. Gladys is like, you have to throw it into the incinerator. And my favorite part about that is, no matter what you do, no matter how long you wait, when you throw it into the incinerator, Gladys goes, "Huh, that's interesting. That is the fastest anybody has done that. You must really not care about that cube at all."
That's good.
So mean.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Gladys is the best.
So I saw a thing at the top that says that this is a, it's coming in other editions. That was the Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, I mean, a video game
remastered.
comes in like tiers now, don't you
Right.
know?
Yeah, there's gonna be you get steel books and stickers and
It's like some pins.
pins and stuff. Yeah,
But you can also just upgrade from the PS4 version to the PS5 remaster for $10.
oh, that's nice.
That's
I
pretty
mean, I've
nice.
actually, I've seen that in a few games where you can do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that they do that kind of stuff.
There's also a speedrun mode, which is again, how fast can you get through all that trauma?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like speedrunning your trauma is a good way to get hurt.
And then finally, this is kind of interesting. Like I have a variety of different websites that I go to that I have sort of RSS feeds that I look at to get news. Nintendo Life and IGN and Game Informer, Kotaku, all these different video game websites. But something that I've started to look at a little bit is there's a subreddit called Hobby Drama, r/Hobby Drama, and every week they do a master thread of like little, because they do really interesting, often like people do like big write-ups of like, this is a weird thing that happened in this like tiny niche hobby that got people really, this is like a big controversy that happened in the world of like a cappella singing, or
so
in the world of whatever.
When you say drama, it's like it's reporting on it. It's not really like
No,
causing it
it's
or
not
anything
causing. Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have a weekly thread, of like a super thread or whatever, of little drama or ongoing things where the result is in there. And sometimes, and so I like looking at that. And sometimes there's stuff about video games in there. There's stuff has changed or things happen in video games. So this particular one, I didn't see actually reported anywhere yet. Maybe it will be, or maybe it won't be. But Trackmania 2020, I believe, is the sort of version of Trackmania, has got an update, which it hasn't been updated for years.
Okay.
But it just got an update, and which added two things. One, a snow car,
Neat.
and secondly, a new track surface, which is, you can have a wood track surface.
Okay.
That second one has caused some problems. Apparently, it's kind of glitchy, in that the apparently how the physics on it is set up, when you're driving on the wood track surface, the faster you go, your acceleration increases as you go faster. So basically you just go
Oh, because like of the lack of friction.
or something.
Okay.
Interesting.
Additionally, hasn't been updated in years, is not accurate. They released new campaigns. Sure. Oh, okay. Interesting. this little write up had said maybe I guess they hadn't released content update or
like a
mechanical update as opposed to just a content update. Anyway, whatever the case. The other problem is that the game already had a wood texture in it, which is separate from a surface.
Okay.
So a texture being like, and because Trackmania, big thing is that it's a big has tons of custom tracks.
Right.
And it's really fun and easy to make custom tracks. And so people could use the wood texture in their custom tracks to make things that looked like they made it out of wood. But it was just a texture. It didn't actually have any gameplay thing. When they put this wood track surface, which actually has a mechanical difference, they also retroactively made any custom track that had been using the wood texture, the wood's texture stuff turned into wood track surface stuff, which caused some interesting effects.
I could see why they would do that, but yeah.
Where's here we go. This is the post that I was looking at linked to this video illustrating. So this is a track that existed before, but they had and they had textured the track surface to look like wood because it was supposed to be like in a forest, but it operated normally. And now this happens.
Okay.
So new old, right? This is like what the ghost of the old person doing. So this looks fine.
We're getting awfully fast.
Starting to go a little fast.
Oh my god.
Starting and also his like grip is like ridiculously way too powerful.
I've been the passenger in some cars that feel like this.
Oh my goodness. Does it top out? It must. Like, geez, that's crazy.
So anyway, presumably it's, a decimal place in the wrong spot somewhere or a negative sign that's supposed to be a positive sign.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll get fixed but it's funny anyway.
I'm looking forward to somebody making a Trackmania run through of the New Moon base with the wood surfaces.
Right, yeah. Somebody made a Trackmania thing when we were doing all the when we were doing all the remote fly-throughs.
Yeah.
Somebody made a Trackmania one. Anyway, that's all the bits of news that I thought were interesting to talk about.
I agree.
Absolutely. Mostly because I didn't really go reading anything this week myself. So I had nothing to contribute in that way. I learned so much this week, Paul.
Excellent.
I like but the Jesus saying they inverse the square root too hard, which is a reference to the fast inverse square root, which is a thing that for 3D gaming was like the thing that unlocked Quake 3, I think, to make it like incredibly performant.
I think it was original Quake.
Even the original Quake, yeah.
That was part of
John Carmack's genius. Yeah.
That impossible wizardry.
Yeah.
It was just it's a particular bit shift move that you can do that is just like, why does I believe there's literally a comment in the code being like, why does this work?
Yeah.
But it does. Math is weird.
I watched a video by Kaz Emanuar.
Oh, Quake 3. It is Quake 3.
Yeah. Kaz Emanuar has been doing a lot of work on N64. Basically Mario 64 re-implementation and fixing of bugs and stuff like that. And he constantly gets people saying, why don't you just implement the fast inverse square root? So he did a whole video on, here's why I don't, here's why I could, here's why I might not anyway. And it's really interesting, despite the fact that I know nothing about whether this is a good idea or not. So yeah.
Actually, speaking of, we were talking about Portal. I saw a really neat video the other day of somebody made an N64 version of Portal.
Yes.
Okay.
That runs at 30 frames a second on N64 hardware.
Yeah.
It's an amazing achievement. They have made, a whole bunch of this is the original Portal. Made a bunch of levels, got the actual Portal physics to work properly,
which you normally wouldn't be able to do in the N64.
Is yeah, totally. Because in order to make Portal physics work properly, you have to basically render twice as much stuff than you would otherwise, because you have to render the scene in one direction and also through the. It boggles my mind. But
the guy's name is James. I thought I'd have the last name as I was saying the first name. I don't. Starts with a C, I think. But and a modern vintage gamer did a thing on the video on it. So go check that out, because then you can find out the name of the person who did it and then watch their video.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. If you haven't watched the episode of ChillPoint that we've been talking about,
we've ruined it for you forever.
We
but
spoiled
it's still
it,
pretty funny.
But there's still some funny jokes in there. You should check it out. It is up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/LRRVG, our video game channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably somewhere near this video in the sidebar or something. But until next time, we will talk to you later.
Hit up that Patreon.
Bye.